Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Zeno here, and I haven't made a YouTube video in some time. So, with that said, I am back to playing Path of Exile again. I have been streaming part-time for the past 7 months-ish. Path of Exile about 5 months now of that 7 months. And 2 weeks ago, I went back to full-time streaming. For everyone wondering, I was in college, or I still am in college, and I'm trying to pursue degree using my GI Bill. If you don't know what the GI Bill is, just Google it. It's given to American veterans who served under honorable conditions. And I wanted to pursue that. I wanted to see that avenue. Some things happened to me in my life in which I had to question where I was going with streaming and YouTubing. But because I've questioned that and I pursued something new, I'm here and I'm ready to do this again. So with that said, let's have a theory crafting session. Before we get going, if you don't know about me, I'm more commonly known in this scene as just a guy that'll play anything in Path of Exile. If it's wacky enough, I'll push it to its extreme and play non-meta skills, TLDR, by exploring things that normally don't naturally exist in the meta, like accuracy, juggernauts that go evasion. It works. Have you tried it? I made a Wild Strike Brutus's Lead Sprinkler Elementalist with nearly 1500 strength and 9.3k life without combs or blood magic. So today I'm going to take you on a freaking journey. I'm going to be uploading or at least recording a bunch of videos. So I'll at least try and pace those out. So bear with me. I'm a full-time Twitch partner. This is a thing they gave us at TwitchCon. I'm just sporting it here because I love Twitch. So for YouTubers, this is a live stream, and that's how I do my YouTube. Just live. With that said, let's get going. So the first idea I wanted to do was based around the shock changes, and I wanted to test out the best Ascendancy to really push this. The idea is Stormcall, and let's get into the library, if you will, the wiki. Stormcall PoE. All right, so Stormcall has 341 to 633. I just want to see its average damage. It has cast time is 0.5. That's huge. So we can multiply it by 2. 341 to 633 divided by 2 multiplied by 2, which gives us right back where we were. Wow, that's pretty good. This is how much average damage or DPS you should be dealing before any modifiers. It's pretty good for a skill. It does get scaled with radius. There was this big AoE nerf in patch 2.6, I think. Alright, so Stormcall gains 1 additional unit of radius every 3 levels. No longer gain increased area of effect radius. So there's this handy little website here I have. It's called Theorycraft.com/legacy/AoE nerf. And this little guy you could probably find on many other websites, but this is the one I use currently. So we're looking at Stormcall. So old Stormcall was shite at level 1. New Stormcall is actually pretty mad. Alright, let's see it at level, every 3 levels, gem level 20. So this is level 20's AoE. Where is it at level 1? The same. So the skill actually sucks at level 1. How about level 4? It's even. 7 because it changes every 3 levels. So by the time your gem hits level 7, you have more AoE since 2.6. So level 7 is level 35. So at level 35 you have officially surpassed the AoE, and at level 23 you've caught up. So Stormcall is whatever. It's not even that big of a deal at gem level 1. It's really not that much of a difference, but at 20 we're talking here. Okay, so we're going to probably get Witch and Templar AoE to see a little bit better, and now you notice it's catching up because AoE now, it doesn't scale the way it used to. Before, AoE was just this great thing that never had diminishing returns, but now it does. So the more you stack it, the more it hurts. How about with Scion? But no, it's still good. Elementalist Pendulum of Destruction. Okay, so look there, the blue really catches up. But the new radius is still 3 more, so it's still a buff. Oh, shoot. Alright, let's see now. So, Stormcall, the way how it functions The skill here, I'll even pull it up. If you've never seen this skill before, let's go here in my handy dandy Path of Exile. It really doesn't matter who we play. I guess we'll go to the Great Land of Standard, and I pick Zeno Does Dallas. What a great name. Sure. Alright, we're in Oriath. Just need to go to the gem vendor, and I'll show you Stormcall. Oh wow, this beautiful man. This haunch of meat. We'll just go to Act 10 here. Wow, I've never logged on this character since the patch, and everything's accessible. I don't know if I'll go Templar. I want to avoid crit. So the reason I want to avoid crit is because they changed shock. The way how they changed shock, worst ever, Alistair. Oh yeah, for all of you guys wondering, YouTube, Twitch. I will be talking to Twitch. I'm not crazy. Worst ever says, well, you're not the worst ever, Alistair. That's just your OG name. The worst ever says, I apologize. Not going Templar. Aw, damn it, I can't do it. I can't go to the gem vendor. The BM. Let's see if I have one laying around. Screw it. Screw it. We'll just talk it. The way how the skill works is you channel it. We could YouTube. No, can't YouTube this. Oh well. You cast it on the ground, and after a certain duration, it goes. Poof, it blows up, and with spell echo, you just slam, and you just go like this, and then it goes. Pop, 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 pop. So, when Stormcall does that, if the first one crits, it is now shocked. But they changed the way how shock works. So, this skill, in theory, should support the new changes to shock very, very well because of how much scaling shock is now. So the way how shock works in PoE is it's applied by any lightning skill that automatically crits, or you get shock chance or some unique that alters some other things like 3 dragons. So the base duration of shock is 2 seconds, and the damage increase scales relative to the amount of lightning damage dealt to the enemy's maximum life. So, in less science speak, essentially, increased damage from shock is capped at 50%. If you deal 10% of the target's maximum life dealt as specifically lightning damage, or chaos if you're using Voltaxic, or things like that, scaling down to 0% at no damage. So what this means is you're dealing 5% shock, which is they take 1.05% more damage when you deal 1% of the target's maximum health. So if the monster is shocked and they're taking more damage, the next hit will deal more damage, thus resulting in a higher shock, which will cause the next hit to deal more damage, thus resulting in an even higher shock. So as long as you get a decent first hit off, then all the hits after that will then snowball really quickly until it's permanently keeping that on. And because it's a base duration of 2 seconds, in Stormcall, set a marker at a location. After a short duration, lightning strikes the marker, dealing damage around it. When this happens, it will also set off the lightning of any other markers you've cast. So you set it up. Base duration is 1.5 seconds. We can use less duration, maybe. But after 1.5 seconds, all these mines detonate instantly. Even the one I just set 0.1 seconds before that. And then you restart channeling again. Then it's cast, boom, they all blow up. And then when they're blowing up, you're setting more mines. So because they blow up so quick and so, like in succession, you can really get a solid shock going, where the first one applies a shock, making the second one stronger, making the third one stronger, making the fourth one stronger. And you can do this with crit. If you do this with crit, it'll be, of course, fair. Inquisitor, 1 million damage. But the Elementalist, I think, is more versatile and long-lasting late game. The Inquisitor is meant for someone who's truly a pro and understands how to not die to reflect, as well as how to stay alive defensively. Because the Inquisitor, unless you go the consecrated ground route, is just scary. So if we look over here, the Inquisitor is obviously the crit choice. You get Inevitable Judgment, you get Augury of Penitence, and you get Instruments of Virtue. Rarely do people go Pious Path or Sanctify. This is if you're going to go crit. If you want to play crit Stormcall, I'm sure it'll work. I'm trying to avoid the crit meta. It's a meta that is consistently nerfed over and over again, which means it's solid. But eventually you get to the point where it's just like, Why even bother? Let's do something very consistent and fair. And usually when you do non-crit spells, you get elemental overload, and it's just a massive multiplier. Anyone who's ever played Berserker knows what 40% more damage does. So you get that keystone, you don't have to be a Berserker. Now, if you want to be a Berserker in this instance, yeah, I mean, you get free damage, you get free mana and life leech. You can go blood magic. What's this one? Cannot be stunned if you've killed recently. Oh, I guess the attack speed's pretty good for movement as well. Oh, or just recovering 25% of your life on a war cry, you know. That's a freaking potion. So you can do this as Berserker, and it will work. I'm trying to avoid that because non-meta builds. Elementalist is like, I would say right in the middle. No one really talks about the Elementalist, but no one really talks down on the Elementalist. So I think she's pretty balanced. Since the nerf to Shaper of Desolation, I've been playing her and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So I would probably take this path, the Reduce Reflect, because Reflect is a pain in the butt, and that's one of the most versatile things about the Elementalist. You don't have to pick this up until Merciless when you start mapping. So generally speaking, you go right for Mastermind of Discord now, or +1 Golem into Pendulum of Destruction, into Paragon of Calamity, but that early damage in AoE is so good for bossing and just general clearing. When it's up, it's so beautiful. And then this guy right here, in order to get the Lightning Pen, we would have to use a cold skill. So we can look up some cold skills in right now to see what would work for that. Frost Bomb's the first one that comes to mind. It really doesn't do anything to us other than, hey, Mastermind of Discord. But we can link it to Arcane Surge, so that could help. Hey, what's up, Largen? How are you? Should be fun, though it might have trouble tracking moving enemies. There's always been Stormcall Lightning Warp mine issues, but nothing new. That's where Lestoration comes in, Yield Crew. Alright, so let's see. Cold Gems PoE. Let's see if that works. Here we go. It does. So, active skill gems that are cold. Discharge, no way. Ellie, no. Something that might give us a buff. Frostbite, Frostbolt, Glacial Cascade, Glacial Hammer, any of elements. Wow. Hatred, Herald of Ice, Hypothermia, that's a support. Ice, by Ice Crash, Ice Nova, Ice Shy Spear. No. Ice Trap? Ice Trap is awesome. I want to make a build around that eventually again. So I think Frost Bomb is probably the best. What's its mana cost? Just because you just plop it, and it does do reduced life regeneration, so it does have utility. The Cold Pen would only work if we go Call the Brotherhood. Call the Brotherhood. Then I would have to use both, because now I deal cold and lightning damage. It's better if you go Call the Brotherhood to be an Inquisitor than it is to be an Elementalist. Elementalist is good at excelling in one or all. So let's see here. Mana cost is 19, which is pretty high. What's Orb of Storm so I can compare? I use Orb of Storms for my Arcane Focus in my spell builds. And at rank 20 it is 28 mana cost. Frostbomb is only 19, so it's going to be hard to keep up Arcane Focus. Arcane Focus, PoE. So Arcane Focus, or it's Arcane Surge. Oh, whoops, Arcane Surge. Every time I've said Arcane Focus in this broadcast, I actually meant Arcane Surge. Sunracer, things are good. I'm making a YouTube video right now. Alright, let's see. Does he even give a minor mana multiplier? And the required mana spent was 41. I was able to achieve this one, but not this one with Orb of Storms, increased duration, and increased crit. I guess I don't have to keep increased crit for Frost Bomb because we're not going to use it to trigger EO. It has to be a cold skill for Mastermind of Discord, correct? It says damage penetrates 25% lightning resistance if you've used a cold skill in the past 10 seconds. So we must use a cold skill. So Frost Bomb is the most efficient. To proc Elemental Overload, I'm just going to have to use Stormcall, and that's fine because you get so many casts per second off, it's going to crit eventually. And I could get like maybe like Doriani's or something, which is generic crit with a ton of damage. So that's not a bad option. Or whatever shield I have, if it gets a little bit of crit, that's fine as well. Or we could go plus levels. So what's the benefit of plus levels? Oh yeah, what would I link for my last thing for Arcane Surge? It would be Frostbomb, Arcane Surge, increased duration, and then massive multiplier, like whatever the best multiplier I can to keep up Arcane Surge. So Frostbomb will have that purpose of Arcane Surge buff / Mastermind of Discord buff. So if I have to press this, let's see, Arcane Surge is usually like 6 to 8 seconds, depending on what kind of duration you get. This is 10 seconds, so I would have to recast it for Arcane Surge anyways. So that's part of the automated boom boom. Back to Stormcall. Let's see how much radius it has. So a gem level, it's every 3 levels. So at 21 it automatically gets 7, then 24 it gets 8, and 27, 20 is the highest it can actually go if you get a +3 staff. At 27, that means you get +3 staff level 4 in power. This is +3 staff level 3 in power without the corruption. So we just have to get to 27. I have a level 4 in power and might be able to do that. See if +3 staff is the most reliable. The problem with staves is movement speed. Your utility is really limited by, you have to leap slam or charge dash. It kind of sucks. So in terms of clear, your clear automatically drops if you're a spellcaster with the staff. It's kind of sad. Lightning gems. We want 3. Oh, great. So doesn't even, oh, whoops, wrong thing. We're going with Hardcore Harbinger. Okay, there's a few, and they're all not staves. Not one of them is a staff. Just because staff meta is so bad. So we're going to have to go one-hander. The sad truth of Path of Exile is right now, if the unique, like really rare gear is the unique of the game, and the unique is the rare of the game. It's like their roles are reverse. So finding a +3 lightning staff because staves aren't meta, and even if they were, it's like you have to craft it. So it's automatic, like lose. So I guess Pledge of Hands would probably be the best in this instance. How else could we live? Our defensive, I think Pledge of Hands would be really good as an option at least. But this is still staff. So this is an option. Doriani's is a really good option. Doriani's Catalyst. Yeah, exactly. Stormcall does have a 6% crit, so it will proc often. With Stormcall's insane cast speed, wouldn't IR be cool to include Orb of Storms, a viable second damage source? You know what? Let's see the ICD on Orb of Storms. Do I still have it open? I do. ICD stands for Internal Cooldown for anyone running. So let's read this skill. Creates a stationary electrical orb that frequently unleashes a splitting bolt of lightning at nearby enemies. Using another lightning skill while inside the orb's cloud unleashes additional bolts. Casting this skill again will replace the previous orb. You can only cast a spell yourself directly. Each individual cast from the orb acts like its own unique spell, much like casting a totem. Each hit has its own chance of being a critical strike, while other hits of the same orb may do normal damage, like Firestorm Cyclone. Yeah. The orb is always summoned next to the player at approximately the same distance. The orb will only target enemies within the circle of influence. Okay. The game also determines whether the orb can target an enemy based on the player's line of sight. Placing orb. There's no internal cooldown. Orb of Storms does not benefit from area damage, just like Ball Lightning. Guess there's no internal cooldown. So yeah, Orb of Storms is actually really good for damage for single target. I wouldn't need it for trash, but like an Essence Mob or something like that. The problem is I think Vaal Stormcall is better than Orb of Storms. Like in terms of an extra 4-link slot, I would think I'd still use Vaal Stormcall, because Vaal Stormcall is just the real extra damage you need, and it lasts a pretty long time. And at the end, it also detonates, and you can use it with Spell Echo. At least you used to be able to. Vaal Stormcall. Yeah, I'll probably go 6-link chest. Let's see. Spell Echo causes the skill to be cast in additional time at the same location. Effects from both casts occur as normal, effectively doubling the rate at which periodic lightning occurs. Yep, you can use Spell Echo with Vaal Stormcall. Can't do that with Orb of Storms. So for 1 Vaal skill, I get 2, and that's just so much damage. And it does the whole Herald of Thunder effect, which we can use in conjunction. So we'll just be a walking Storm Herald between Vaal Stormcall and Herald of Thunder. We'll always have this around us. So the next option we can consider here is we can go full penetration. We can go the Agnerod. We can go the Agnerod. There's 4 of them. There's a whole meme, I'm sure. We can just compare them right here. So the thing with Agnerod is it's a staff. It's a staff. However, with 2 6-links, now our Vaal Stormcall is juicy, and our Stormcall is juicy. So what we could do is just, for trash, you could just run up, drop a Vaal Stormcall, run up to the next one, Stormcall, run up to the next pack, Vaal Stormcall, run up to the other one. So we can get a lot of movement speed. We could just probably go movement speed. Keep up Fortify from Charge Dash, Fortify, that's it, done. With this, you get a ton of int. That is a lot of int. It does have an increased strength requirement, so it is saying go towards, you must play this towards the Templar side of the tree. A bunch of lightning damage, only +2 to lightning gems, but 20 lightning pen. This one's increased shock duration. This one is chance to shock. This one is +5 to max lightning res. That is so good. And then this one is just more deeps. So Stormcall's damage effectiveness is 80%. So in terms of this is only at 80% face value to what it's listed as. So it's not bad. +5 max lightning res is stupid good. That is a free purity of lightning on. Pretty much, that is what it is, just not as an aura. So this is the safest option, hands down. These two are kind of meh. Like shock chance is okay. Shock duration is actually really good too against bosses, but they changed the way how shock duration works now, right? The base duration of shock is 2 seconds. So shock round takes damage. Shocking ground increases damage taken by fixed amount. Yeah, I already knew this. So I think they just changed it globally for bosses. So shock duration's pretty poo-poo. Oh, excuse me. So let's see here. If we went this route, let's see, we have 20 pen. Lightning pen gem is 37 pen. Let's see all of the sources of lightning. Okay, let's see. We got Wise Oak, so it's 15. Calculator. Yeah, 15 from Wise Oak. We got a potential 20 from this, and then 37 from the gem. Right? 37. Okay, what else, other things coming out? We got Wise Oak is like a gimme in any non-crit build, or even in a crit build unless you're Inquisitor. What is this? Attacks with this weapon penetrate 30% elemental resistance. This is like a hidden secret because its hits can't be evaded and it gives 30 pen. It just has no damage, like none. And then it gives you this extra physical attack damage as these elements, and you're just like, what? Because there's no physical. So it's, I wonder what you could do with it. Maybe I'll craft a build around that eventually. These are, let's just search lightning. So there's that. The brain rattler, oh, that's a physical thing. There's the Agnerods. And then Vinctor. So Vinctor, we can get another 10 pen. And then Heart of Thunder gives us another 3. If we play as the Ascendant, we get 6 pen and an extra golem. But then we don't get Mastermind of Discord. We'd actually lose out on total pen. But we could pair it with something else. Yeah, like 25 is just so juicy. Oh yeah. Did I not include the 25 for Mastermind of Discord? Nope. Plus 25 for Mastermind of Discord. Plus 3 from Heart of Thunder. That is 100 lightning pen. So I think we would, if we go Agnerod, I think that is insane. That is crazy insane. But is the damage of the staff worth the like 20 pen is just so good. And generally speaking, 1% penetration is the equivalent of 4% more damage, and especially against bosses. Against trash, penetration is less useful unless the map mod rolls resistance. But penetration is king for bossing, rare monsters with a ton of health, essence mobs, things like that. So penetration is like one of those stats where you can never get enough of it. It's very generic in how it functions, but it's so mandatory for this game, and it's an entirely different stat than reduction. I like to talk about this a lot because this is something most Path of Exile players don't know. But for instance of curses, conductivity, which we would use, we can consider using this in this spec. It's hard to use most curses now because Enfeeble and Temporal Chains are just too strong. But this guy right here, it says cursed enemies have minus up to 44% resistance at level 20, and then they take shock chance. So what this means is whatever the hell the monster's resistance is, for instance, if a monster has 75 lightning res that you are fighting, it will subtract 44 from 75, right? So let's do this basic math there. So we do minus 44. Now, penetration, if you have 44 pen, it's the same result, 75 minus 44. They do the same thing. However, reduction will always start off at the highest value they have. So if they actually have 200 lightning res, which some monsters can have 200 lightning res because of map mods, sextants, auras, they naturally have passive lightning res. They're more resistant to it. If you have minus 44, the monster is still at 156. Now, 156 would make them immune, but monsters are also capped at 75 or 80, whatever their restrictions are, but generally speaking, 75. So anything above 75 is 75. But penetration, if the monster has 200 res, they still have 75 in the case of penetration. So that's why Agnerod is so good, because against fighting any monster, their lightning res will passively cannot max past 55. Minus the support gem, which is 37, minus Heart of Thunder, minus Wise Oak, and then minus Mastermind of Discord. So now every monster I start off with is already minus 25 lightning res permanently, because that's how strong penetration is. Inquisitor makes it so every monster you fight when you crit will have 0 resistance, neither negative nor positive. So if you get penetration or reduction, it doesn't matter, it's always 0. Inevitable Judgment is always neutral at 0. So as an Elementalist or other classes, you have the option of going over that 100%, but you don't get the critical strike multiplier that Inquisitor gets. But you still have to roll dice as Inquisitor, and you have to worry about Reflect. As an Elementalist, you don't. So that's why I wanted to Mastermind of Discord, Paragon of Calamity, and 2 golems. So Lightning Golem, obviously, cast speed is everything for Stormcall. And then, you would probably go Fire Golem for just raw damage. So in that case, Lightning Golem would give us 40 damage, lightning passively, and then it would double down on cast speed and attack speed. I guess that's for my Charge Dash Fortify. It's the only thing I use for staves. Like, I don't even fuck with Leap Slam as a caster. If I'm running around with a staff, I've done it a lot. Like, I put myself through that gauntlet of I'm using a staff. Here we go. So let's see here. Yeah, this is solid. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. I like the Elementalist. Let's start pathing it. So cast speed trumps spell damage. because this guy is such a good cast time. Like, cast speed is pretty much doubled because it's 0.5 cast per second. Area damage doesn't work for Stormcall, or not Stormcall, Orb of Storms, but it will for this. Okay. I could boost my Wise Oak. What else would I use if it's Wise Oak? Its Siri Flask is okay because it helps with Leech. Rumi's always works, and I'm using a staff, so it's a little bit more block. Vinctor's gives more penetration. This is a maybe to me, so I'll leave it out. Do we go mind over matter? We're going strength based because we have to get enough strength to wear the Agnerod, so I guess we can do that. Let's try out mind over matter. That means I have to use Wrath Herald of Thunder, so I may need to get some sovereignty. I don't like picking this up as much as I used to. I could take this pathing for this lightning node because it does give me increased effective shock, and that's not a bad thing, so we can... Alright, let me put that back. Do this instead. And path out of this. Losing on that 10 dex, not too bad. This is an option. We're not going crit. It's a good feeling. This will give me strength and life and a lot of my strength requirements. This is 50 strength alone right here. And the staff requires... 158, so we're gonna have to get a lot of strength from our tree. Then we got 10 here, we got 10 here, and we got 10 here, so that's 30, and then this is 80 now, and yes, I'm taking that endurance charge. Is there any reason to come down here whatsoever? Nothing lightning related. This is let's see, this is shock chance, increased effect of non-damaging ailments. Oh, that's shock, because it doesn't deal damage. Increased damage with hits against shocked enemies. Increased burning damage, that's random. That's new. When the frick did they add that? That's interesting. 2% pen with really doo-doo nodes before it. So it's 12 plus this is 30% damage, so it's 10% Ellie each point with 2% pen. That's not bad. But this makes it just like so painful because this literally does nothing. I would lose strength. And then, no, I would still have to path this way. It's the same result. It's too many points. Heart of Thunder, though. Let's see how we can path this most efficiently. Probably this way. And we'll probably get Breath of Lightning. Let's review what it does. So Breath of Lightning is increased shock duration, 20%, and shock is a base of 2 seconds. So that makes it 2.4 seconds now. Is there any more duration? 30%, so that yields 50 total. So now our shock lasts 3 seconds. Effective shock is good because that means you can get it rolling quicker. What shock effect does is, let's say I get 100% effect of my shock. Before, the conversion was 10% of a hit as lightning damage would result in 50% increased damage taken, which is a 1.5 times the multiplier. If you get 100% shock effect, it's now you only have to deal 5% of the target's max health rather than 10. So it halves. It just makes shock be able to stack itself quicker. Basically, you have to, the threshold of how much damage you need to deal to a target is lessened. So let's see, 5% shock chance, 15% increase effect. So we're at 15% shock chance alone. What is this? This shock duration, effective shock, shock chance, effective shock duration, and shock chance. Okay, so 15 shock chance, 15 effect, total of 35 effect, and 50 duration. This is actually really meaty. How is this one over here? All of them have 8% lightning damage at a minimum, so I like that. Shock duration and chance, shock chance and damage, shock duration, shock chance and effect. It's pretty much more of the same, but it's in no man's land unless you're playing Essence Surge, Eldritch Battery, something like that. CI maybe. This is seriously in no man's land. If you do wield, we go like this, but we're going Agnerod, so that's out. This should be enough to boost it, paired up with shock chance here. And maybe these two. 15% shock effect, that is. 5% chance to shock. A 25% additional damage if they are shocked. This is just 2 pen. So these 2 points really make this shit. They really make this just painful. I can't do it. I can't suck it up and do it. Alright, Jewel, obviously. We're at 76 points. What is my life at the moment? I aim for around 200% minimum. And in these instances, when in doubt, like any type of mind over matter caster build usually goes down to Constitution and picks up the whole wheel. Because now I'm at 161. 40% we can get with our remaining effectively 20-25 points. I plan around 90 to 92 in hardcore is generally speaking my cap before either I get bored or I get complacent. So that's where I try to build my builds. Oh yeah, we're getting Elemental Overload for sure. This is still a maybe to me. This is yes. If I use Herald of Thunder with Vaal Stormcall, do I still use Wrath? Because I am Mind Over Matter, and this is the age-old Mind Over Matter problem. Whenever you play Mind Over Matter, it's like, how much mana do I leave unreserved? Okay, let's read Essence Worm. The old Essence Worm gimmick. Essence Worm PoE. If I could get around 50% of my mana left unreserved, we're good. 40% increased reserve. So I could throw Wrath in here, which is fine. Wrath will give me... hold on, crowd controlled. I will read what you said aloud after this. Wrath will give me 21%, and then +2 will give it 22% more spell damage, more lightning spell damage. That's a half multiplier. 40 is a standard at the end game. Crowd control says, "Hey Xena, we made the EKBV build the other day. Thought I'd let you know I'm top 50 Inquisitor, top 700 Allo. Got me Taste of Hate and Vessel of Victor. Thanks for all the help, man." Hey, no problem, Crowd Control. I'm glad you're doing all right. Good for you. Cheers for stopping by and saying that. You didn't have to. All right, so Wrath is a 50% mana reserve. Herald of Thunder is what, 30? Hopefully 25. No, it's 30. I remember they nerfed it. It used to be 25. Oh, it is 25. Maybe it was less than 25. Damn. Or maybe they nerfed it back, or they buffed it back. So 25% multiplied by 1.4 because of Essence Worm puts it at 35. That leaves us 65% open mana. So what I'm doing here is, if Essence Worm, the way how this guy works is, you throw a Wrath in here, and Socketed Gems reserve no mana. So Wrath, instead of reserving 50% of our mana, is now free. So if it's free, I still want to use Herald of Thunder. It's a 25% mana reserve, and it says 40% increased mana reserved. So anything else I reserve from this point will be multiplied by 1.4. And when we did 25 times 1.4, only 35% of our mana is being reserved. That's like nothing. That is seriously nothing. Opening 65% of our mana from Mind Over Matter at the cost of our ring slot. And that's okay because we're getting effective health from it. So we're not losing out on any life. We could be losing out on resistance, but we're getting Wrath and Herald of Thunder while still maintaining 65% of our maximum life pool. Or maximum mana pool, I should say. That's pretty good. It's a good combo. This game, you have to min-max your mana pool, your life pool. What is the best bang for your buck without you going too far? Like, as nice as this seems on paper, this makes it less effective. Every point you spend towards a goal needs to be thought out. So in this instance, you're like, wow, 2% pen, 18 damage. But then before it, you got 2 6%. Oh, excuse me, an 8 and a 6. So we got 14 and 18. That puts it at 32, which is about, what, 10.6% elemental damage per point. And that's okay. Most of these little small ones are only 8% anyway, so that's actually pretty good. But then when you start putting in, you know, the main points at the end here, something like this, where it's 12, 12, 12, 12, 25 with 3 pen, you know, it's just so much better. And it's like linked up right here. You do spend your 2 extra points, but you're getting a jewel. You know, you could get something else over here. This is just so much freaking deeps. Whereas this is like, essentially they're already little nodes. They're not even like 12. This is a 6, and you still have to spend the same amount of travel points. So I think that Heart of Thunder and Breath of Lightning end up being better point for point, especially considering the jewel and a life wheel over here. I guess this is kind of close to this one, but still. This wheel, at first when it came out, it seemed so juicy, but it's really not. You could take the path of the lightning nodes if you want, but now you're spending an extra point to make it more efficient. So you say, why even bother coming here? Alright, so let's finish this out. If I go this way, I get some storm. Let's see, cast speed, movement speed. Movement speed's alright, because that's our plan. It's always 12%. Oh, melding. Okay, if we come here, we're still at 110. This is increased duration of elemental ailments, increased elemental damage, chance to avoid ailments is like whatever. 10% increased effect of 9. Okay, so 10% shock effectiveness, and then like I said, 2 little 18s. This is only 16, 18, 12, 16. This is 32% as well. And then we could come down here and finish this off. So we do have some cut points. So melding is awful point for point on HP, but as a caster you take what you could freaking get, and that's putting us at 216. For the amount of points spent, I think it's still worth it. It's painful to look at, but that's just the path of life nodes. Just suck it up, deal with it. Things I could gut. So this is an option here because it is mana regen. Cast speed is super important for this build. Is this worth it then? And it is shock effect. If I drop this, we can go this way, and that's really not saving any points at all still. So we just don't pick it up. I'd like to keep the endurance charge. Kind of awkward here. We definitely going to need this if we're going to go to shock duration. So these would be the next options we cut, and that's 24% cast speed, but that puts us at a much more reasonable amount of points. This guy for sure we're going to drop, and then we still have Alchemist if you want to go that route. If you're addicted to that node, it's go for it. This would be just a good rough outline. Everything else after here is up to you based off preference. There's 12% cast speed here, here, and here. These two obviously have a little bit of an extra push with movement speed and avoid being stunned, and this one has mana regen. But those are your 12% cast speeds for 3 points. Hey, what's up? It's Carl. How are you doing? I think this is fair. HP again, you always have 92 mana. That's like the thing. When you play Mind Over Matter, if you go for the most efficient route, it's always like you get this mana here, you get this mana here. Sometimes you pick up this mana here. Rarely will you pick up this mana here. But let's see, this is 12, 12, 24. That's 64, right? And then this is another 16 and puts it at 80, 92. So this is a mana wheel I have, and this is, and that's it. Those are the only two things I have for Mind Over Matter, and it should be fine. You just get some mana on your gear, mana life hybrids. We can go Eiler decks, maybe? Would Eiler decks be worth it? Probably not. It's not bad. What's up, Hunter Fezza? Recording everything for YouTube, that's why no music is on right now. Ice Crash is indeed awesome. It's my freaking favorite skill in PoE. I thought of a new Ice Crash build I wanted to theory out, so we could do that next if you guys want. That is like my bread and butter skill. It's like my go-to baby. What gimmick could we add to Stormcall? Because right now this skill is just quite generic. It's just stack penetration, be an elementalist, go Mind Over Matter with a staff. So it's simple in concept. Is there anything we can add to this to make it like, whoa, that is genius? Because all we're doing right now is testing shock, stacking penetration, and doing our best to not die to reflect damage without Vaal Pact. I like not going Vaal Pact sometimes. It's nice to play a non-leech build. In fact, I like to often do that. Let's take a look at Lightning Uniques PoE. We'll do Ice Crash after this. Lightning damage. Uniques in here. Unique items. Okay, let's see. Static electricity. So we already said, nope, that's not it. 1,000 ribbons, Ondar, storm cloud. Flat added lightning. We don't want that. Increased lightning damage. Hazardous reach. That is spark. I'm not messing with that. Malachi stimulant. No barracks or sprite. Lightning damage. Oh no, we're already using essence worm, so we should probably stick away from rings. This thing was so awesome when it first came out. 40% increased damage with hits against shocked enemies, so that's just a pretty big node. It's like a notable. And then it gives global lightning damage, mana, and bleach. Its chance to shock. With no life. I guess mana's like minor. Talisman's out. The Agnerods, Dorianis. What is this? Increased max mana by a lot. Critical strike chance increased by your lightning. Oh, this is breach, right? Lightning bolt when you deal a critical, so it's meant for some crit build. Converted to lightning, added as lightning. That's just the maps. What is this? Oh, that thing. Lightning coil is actually really good in this spec. Simply because of... Oh, we can use lightning coil in this spec. Oh, I've been waiting to make an Elementalist lightning coil build. Alright, so hear me out on this. I might not be crazy, but I'm crazy. Let's read what lightning coil does. 30% of physical damage is taken as lightning, but at the big downside of minus 60 lightning res. So you have to get essentially an extra 16 lightning res on your gear that you normally would not get in order for this to be good. Because if you take a hit from physical, 30%, and you don't have any armor, you just take 30% damage. You just take that hit. You just take your pure physical damage. But what this does is 30% of that physical hit. So you still take 70% of the physical hit. But that 30% checks against your lightning resistance. And if it checks against your lightning resistance, there's two things that we can use here. The first one is Agnerod. We can get +5 max lightning res. So that way, if we get 80% res, which we can do even with that minus 60, we're taking a significantly less physical damage hit. But on top of that, there's a little secret here with Elementalist. This is what I've been waiting to do. Let's read Paragon of Calamity. For each element you've been hit by damage of recently, so when you take physical damage, you're actually taking lightning damage. So if you take lightning or physical damage, you're still taking lightning damage. So for each element you've been hit by damage of recently, so when you take lightning damage, 40% increased damage of the element, you will get 40% increased lightning damage. So if you take any hit in the game, because every monster has physical damage unless they're a caster, every single melee hit is physical damage. So you will passively get 40% increased damage. On top of that, for each element you've been hit by damage recently, same concept, 8% reduced damage taken of that element. So this further boosts our lightning coil, because if you take damage as lightning, you're more resistant to lightning, thus making physical damage hit you even less, and lightning damage hit you less. And you already take reduced reflect damage taken, so you're definitely going to take reduced reflect damage taken entirely. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So we could probably run reflect maps without Vaal Pact if we play our cards right, because we could still pick up the 25% extra Pantheon reduce reflect on top of lightning coil gimmick and this. And the Agnerod will give us an additional +5 max lightning res. That is a very rare thing you can do. Run a reflect map as an elemental build without Vaal Pact. That would be an awesome goal. Maybe we could do that with this build. Maybe. So I think this build all in all is summed up done. There's our extra gimmick. I'll throw in the lightning coil to further push the bounds of Elementalist, wherever the heck it is. Yeah, so lightning coil. That would be the last shebang. It's got 80 life on it too. For 6 link, it is an armor evasion chest, and that is hard for Storm Call. So Agnerod's going to get our lightning skills. This would be for my Vaal Storm Call. Oof, that's a little painful to hash out, but maybe we could figure out something. We'll see what we could do with it. Oh yeah,